If you want to put your camera off, that's fine. If I don't know if you're going to be shown on the live stream or not. I'm still getting used to the technology. But regardless, if you want to get into specifics, we can do a private confidential consultation. But we are live on the social media streams. So if you want to ask your question again, so I can address it.
Okay, am I protected in any way by pitching my script or submitting my script via social media?
Okay. Terms of service control. Okay, so whatever platform you're using, those terms of service control. Now, if you're going through another entity through social media, you may have some added obligations and duties, depending on if they have any type of contract that you guys are agreeing to. It's all based on contract law, okay? And because you're using the platform, you're agreeing to their terms of service. It's very similar to Stream 32, all right? But the platform in their terms of service is going to say that they have no liability. And even through the federal law, CDA 230, Communications Decency Act, Section 230, the social media platform will not have any liability. All right. As far as your protection, to be honest, you don't have much protection. Okay. So it's important to use your NDAs. All right. Whoever you're submitting it to, make sure you have a non-disclosure agreement, a confidentiality agreement. All right. Have a template one ready to go. Make it simple, maybe one page, make it more of a standard practice. Okay. To submit them, even if they don't sign it, maybe you just have a notice of NDA. Okay. Something. You need some protection. All right. You need to document that this is your work. And here's the key phrase. If they use it without your consent, that they agree to compensate you. Reasonable compensation. Okay? And a lot of times, if they do use it without your permission, you're backtracking, it's a fight, it's going to be a dispute, and then you have to prove what is reasonable compensation. It gets into what a reasonable license fee would be. It's a difficult issue. But you want to take all the steps that you can to protect yourself. That means using your NDAs, your confidentiality agreements, and memorializing through emails, or if it's through social media, through the social media chat feature. You just need something in writing saying that if they use it, you expect to be compensated. All right. And they cannot use it without your consent. Now, distributing things through social media is always at risk. The terms of service for these platforms are very broad. They basically, if you submit anything through social media, essentially the platforms own it. Okay? If you post something, they own it. All right? You've consented to their terms of service to go through their platform, and their platform gives them a lot of rights. Have you ever gone into Facebook and read their terms of service? They basically own all the photos that you post on Facebook. They can do anything with it. You give up all the rights. You give them a very broad license. It's somewhat unfair. And these big platforms, they get away with a lot because they have immunity through federal law in the United States, CDA 230. It's been, it was a big issue in the prior election, and there's really been no changes done to that law. I personally have spoken out against that law, saying that no entity should be above the law. They have immunity. Immunity is a very very great power. It means that they cannot be prosecuted, that they are free from any legal liability, which I believe is not fair. There needs to be some form of regulation. I hope that answers your question. I don't know what platform you're going through.
So Zuckerberg owns if I submit my script via PDF via Facebook, he owns it. Well, he can't own it because I have a copyright on my script.
He doesn't really own it, but you have given a broad license to the platform for them to do anything they want with that content. Okay. But yes, you own the copyright. And remember, I think we spoke before, you should be well-versed in the copyright registration process. Have you looked into that? The electronic copyright application system?
Yeah,
I believe
that's how I copyright most of my stuff.
Yep. The ECO, it's called the electronic copyright application.
Yeah.
So be well-versed in that and make sure you have your copyrights. That's your best form of protection. Other than that, I would try to secure your rights through contracts, your NDAs and confidentiality agreements. I would not say he owns it, whoever you submitted it to. I would say that the platform that you submitted it through has a broad license to do whatever they want with it. I'm not even sure the terms of service are, but they're very broad and one-sided. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and one more question.
Okay.
All right, I recently started an LLC for my other business, real estate, but should I have an LLC as a screenwriter? And should I do it in California or should I do it like in Delaware? Because I know for some businesses, it's good to have your business, your corporation, to be incorporated in Delaware.
Okay.
Because they have useful law. But should I be incorporated in California?
Okay. Well, let's get into the intricacies here. The belief that Delaware is a good state to form a business has come about because the courts in Delaware are more favorable to entities based on their precedent, court decisions. They protect corporations. It is difficult to pierce the corporate veil. Okay? That's where you hear, oh, Delaware is such a good state to form a business. In your situation, I would suggest that it may not, because you're doing business in California. If you were a Delaware corporation, but you were still doing most of your business in California, you would still be required to register your business as a foreign entity in California and still be liable for the California tax structure. And therefore, you'd be paying two taxes. Okay? So in your situation, it may not necessarily be a good decision. Your decisions when it comes to these business information issues and all business decisions are driven by tax consequence. Okay, that is the main factor for every business decision, is the tax consequence. Okay, so in your situation, because you are a California resident, you'll be doing most of your business, I would suggest to just register your business in California. Okay, now California may not be the best state to form a business. Unfortunately, that's where most of your business is being conducted, and that's where you're a resident. So you would be still subjected to California, even if you chose another state to form in. California may not be the greatest business state to form a business because of their tax structure. They have a very high corporate tax. There are other states that are considered to be domestic tax havens. Nevada doesn't have corporate tax. I believe Montana, maybe one of the Dakotas, and Puerto Rico. There's some states that are more favorable. They're trying to attract business growth, so they don't tax them as much. Nevada is trying to attract growth, so they have no corporate tax. But still, you're in that same situation where if you're doing business in California, you still would be subjected to their tax structure and their requirements to register as a foreign corporate entity and still be required to pay their annual franchise tax. So to answer your question, the decision on what state to form in depends on where you're doing business and the tax consequence. Now, your second part of that question was you already have a real estate business, I believe you said, and now you want to protect yourself as a writer. And the purpose of a business entity can be very general, all lawful purposes. Okay. With that being said, I think you need distinction. So I would suggest that you probably form a separate entity for your writing services. So I think that is a good idea to form another business. I do suggest that forming businesses are always a good decision, depending on where you're at in the process. If you're just starting out, you may want to do business as a sole proprietor, but there's risk there that you incur personal liability. I always suggest that at some point, relatively early, you should form a business so you have that shield from liability, protects your personal assets. And as a writer, I believe that every content creator should be a producer. Right? Not just a writer, you should be a producer. You're a producer of content. And you need to be, there's a lot of benefits to forming a business. They will take you serious. It gives an aura of professionalism. It gives you the shield, the legal shield, so that claimants, creditors cannot reach your personal assets. That's the main benefit, is the legal protection. Okay. And you may not fully realize it right now until there's a dispute. And it's always by the time you understand it, it's always too late. All right. They've gotten into your personal assets. You should have it there in existence so that you're protected when that time occurs. And you'd be very fortunate if that time never comes, but chances are that there will be a dispute. If you are doing business, if you're putting your services and your work into the chain of commerce, it is most likely that you will have a dispute of some kind, and you need that legal protection. Okay. And then as a writer, the benefits of having a legal entity: you can raise capital, there's growth, you can loan out your services so that there's another layer of protection. You can take different courses in the life of your business. There's just a lot of benefits to forming an entity, and I would suggest an LLC. An LLC, because it gives you the flexibility of a partnership with the less legal formalities, with filings with the state, and it also gives you the protection of a corporation.
So if I were to be on a script assignment, I can form a partnership with like a studio then, or a production company for that particular script.
You would have more ways to do it. Either they can come into your project with equity, you can contract, you can still be an independent contractor in the name of the business. I believe it gives you more flexibility, and they'll take you more serious.
Okay, great. That's what I needed to know. All right, so I should just form another LLC. Okay, great. Thanks.
Separation is key, but remember, you cannot commingle your assets. So what that means is when you form that LLC, you should also open a separate business bank account. Okay. Do not be placing your business capital into your personal account. It will get too commingled and too difficult to separate. And once you can no longer separate the transactions and the dealings, you lose your legal protection. Okay. So if you're putting money that from your writing services into an account where you have personal funds and you're using it as your personal piggy bank, as they say in the law, or paying for your personal expenses, there will be an argument that you will lose the legal shield, and they will be able to attach that account, which also includes personal funds, to satisfy any debts or judgments. So it's important to have separate accounts. Just open another business account and have all your payments for writing into that account. Keep it separate. Keep it clean. Keep things separate. Keep things clean. You do not want to lose the legal shield. Okay? Do things right from the beginning, because it will be when the time comes when a dispute actually arises, it may be too late. It is way too difficult to backtrack, to start earmarking transactions. You don't want to be in that situation. Just keep it clean from the beginning. Have separate accounts, one for the business, have one for a personal account. If you're paying yourself a salary from that business, have it go from the business into your personal account. You just need separation.
Okay. Great. Good advice. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you for signing on. Any other issues?
Not right now. Like I said, I'm just seriously looking into starting an LLC for screenwriting. I guess that'll come when I start, maybe when I get representation and maybe start getting paid to get my scripts out there.
Absolutely. Copyright, and then file your copyrights in the name of your business as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Unless,
all right. So I'll probably ask more questions next week as I get closer and closer to starting this LLC.
Yeah, it's a relatively easy process. You can form a business in California with the form is LLC-1 and LLC-01. And then once you get your corporate entity number, you will have to also get an EIN, and you do that with an SS-4 with the IRS. Once you have an EIN number, then you can open a business bank account.
Right.
Exactly. Some banks require a minimum amount to deposit, $500 to $1,000 at times.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because I did some research on that for my other LLC that I have. All right. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to get sued as a person, especially if something goes down.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to sue me, they can just probably, I don't know, sue my LLC.
Yeah, the LLC is a layer of protection. If they try to sue you individually, you can dismiss it and say the proper party is the entity.
Okay.
But you have to do business in the name of the entity. So here's the caveat. You got to watch out for words in any agreements, such as personal guarantee, guarantor, individually, personally. Watch out for those words. If in an agreement they have you signing personal, guarantor, individually, personally, you want to watch out for those words, and you want to you're going to want to change them, cross them out, indicate that you're not signing personally, and you always want to sign on behalf of the entity. Make it clear that you are just representing the entity, not yourself individually. That's where people get in trouble when they sign agreements. When on the signature page, you'll see that they sign as a personal guarantor. Once you sign as a personal guarantor, you have opened yourself up to personal liability. You have lost the protection of the court of the business shield, the legal entity shield. So you want to make sure you are signing on behalf of the business.
Okay.
Good questions, Anthony. I hope this helps.
Yeah, I mean, now it's just gotta just start selling scripts and get representation. So that's going to be the next step. And I gotta see what I can do to work harder and work smarter and getting my scripts in the right hands.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let us know if we can do anything to help. Do you have any other legal questions right now?
No, not right now. Probably next week.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to log back on. Let me see if anyone online is listening or has asked a question. I'm still not too sure how we operate here. I hope we are live. Josie, do you know if you can see if we've been live? I don't see anyone looking at it right now. No live viewers.
Okay, I gotta go.
Yes, we are live.
Question.
Oh, there we go.
Great.
Okay, well, very good. I think that's it. I think we can go off live right now.